Well, we've got some really exciting news coming out of Freeport, Bahamas again, referencing our last video talking about Celebration Key, which is pretty much just a few miles away. But Carnival and Royal Caribbean have teamed up for a massive revitalization of the shipyard there in Freeport. So let's dive in and go over everything that they plan on doing. What's going on, everybody? My name is Brandon. If you like cruise news, cruise vlogs, and ship tours, make sure you leave a like down below. Subscribe to the channel as we have an upcoming cruise on Allure of the Seas, followed by Icon of the Seas. Two very, very exciting cruises coming up for me. But anyways, enough rambling. Let's go ahead and jump right into today's video. So, interesting partnership. Royal Caribbean and Carnival teaming up together for what I think is a massive win for the cruise industry. The two cruise lines are contributing about $600 million into a revitalization and a complete refit, restructure of this shipyard in Freeport, Bahamas. Freeport, Bahamas has been a very big part of the ship maintenance industry, and having Freeport so close to all of the Florida ships and even just anything really here in the US, there's no transatlantic that's required for these. So Freeport has always been a huge contributor when it comes to just quick and simple maintenance to be doing on some ships. And they've even done some pretty major dry docks there. I believe Independence, when she had her major refit back in, I believe it was 2018 or 2019. If you guys can correct me in the comments, sorry. But they did that entire dry dock and that entire upgrade on that ship in Freeport. Ever since the Oasis incident back in 2019, one of the best timed incidents, by the way, it happened on April Fool's Day of 2019, of all things. So, of course, nobody believed it at first. But anyways, ever since the Oasis incident in 2019, there really hasn't been a whole lot of ships going over there for dry docks and any sort of refurbishments. Some smaller ships, I know the Carnival Elation had her recent refurb over there. She got her blue paint and a couple little upgrades here and there. Kind of a minor dry dock. But other than that, there really hasn't been too many ships going over to the Grand Bahama Shipyard for any sort of upgrades or refurbishments like they used to. It used to be that there was almost always a ship there. But the Grand Bahama Shipyard has had a really major impact on the Bahamas economy. Millions and billions of dollars that are being contributed to the local economies there just because of these cruise lines that are having to pay all of this crazy money to upgrade their ships, maintain their ships, and all of that. And just, of course, again, the placement has really just been key. With the Oasis incident in mind, it could hold the Oasis class, but it can definitely be pretty crazy just having that large of a ship. So this is kind of where some of these upgrades are going to come into place, because the dry dock is pretty, I wouldn't say pretty old, but it definitely is not up to more modern standards, I would say, when it comes to size of the ship. The shipyard itself is fine. Nothing wrong with it. I think the ships are just growing so rapidly and getting so big so fast. They need a little bit of love and a bit of an upgrade. And this is where we come in. Because over the last few years, ever since that incident, most of the major dry docks will be taking place over in Cadiz, Spain, or even over in France. Yes, the current and most recent example is the Carnival Freedom, just to have the blue paint, a couple little upgrades, and of course get her funnel reattached. They had to send the ship all the way over to Spain for that. The ship left Port Canaveral. To send the ship from Port Canaveral all the way out to Spain just to send it straight back when it's done, that's a lot of fuel. That costs a lot of money for the cruise lines, and that's just one ship. They've been having to do that with a lot of their ships lately, and same with Royal Caribbean. Earlier this year in 2023, Royal Caribbean did that with, I think Symphony stayed over there, but the Explorer of the Seas went over to Europe, got her refit, got her upgrades, and then came right back to Miami where she was sailing and continued on. So there's a lot of cases where ships have to go all the way out to Cadiz and to Spain just to turn around and come right back as soon as it's done. With the Carnival Venezia most recently, I think it would have probably been a little bit easier for them just to upgrade the ship over in Freeport, of course. So with that, again, location, 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 they could have done all of those dry docks right here in the Caribbean, in the Atlantic area, with the shipyard here in Grand Bahama. But anyways, enough for me rambling just about the location itself. Let's dive in and kind of look more into what this all entails. Because this is, a $600 million US dollar revamp to this shipyard. So two really cool things is that there are going to be floating docks. I believe this seems more like the floating dry docks that we saw with the Carnival Vista and her upgrades that not upgrades, her maintenance that needed to be done on her azipods when there was no space available over there. Two floating dry docks would be really cool. It's a very neat concept in the first place, and those are expected to be delivered in 2025 and 2026. Docks there are two dry dock spots, areas, whatever you want to call it. There's already two of those pre-built, already in use, been going for years and years for now. And they're planning on upgrading those, making sure those are more fit for modern ships. Not that they aren't already, but just kind of revamping those, just maintaining, make them better than they already are. And then they also plan on building one more regular dry dock, so a total of 5. They can hold 5 ships simultaneously if they really wanted to. Will they? Probably not. That's a lot of ships to be having out of service at once and in dry dock, but the fact that they could hold 5 at the same time is pretty crazy, and the way that the pace that new ships are coming out, it's almost needed, because there will be getting to a point where there's going to be so many ships out on the ocean that we need as much as possible. So having 5 total dry docks possible is crazy to think about, and that's going to be huge for Bahamas. And those floating dry docks are going to be the largest floating dry docks in the Western Hemisphere. Didn't say in the world. There must be some over in the China area and over in Asia and things like that, but it says 2 of the largest floating dry docks in the Western Hemisphere, which is pretty awesome. And I'm guessing with this third dry dock area that they're going to build, they say the dry dock amplification, dry dock, refits and upgrades are going to be large enough to handle all modern ships currently in service and planned. So it sounds like they're planning on making some of these dry docks fit for Icon of the Seas, now Star of the Seas, and of course, all 6, crazy that there's 6, Oasis-class ships. And of course, now we have Mardi Gras, the Mardi Gras XL class from Carnival, 180,000-ton ships. Those things are huge. MSC, they're not in this deal, but they do have 200,000-ton ships now. Crazy. So building some of the largest dry docks in the world, building some of the best infrastructure when it comes to dry docking ships is going to be huge for the industry as well. Not only the Bahamas and Bahamas, economy with all the billions of dollars that are coming in from this, but it's going to be huge for the cruise lines having something so big and so good this close to home. And by home, I mean all of the ships that are here in the United States, whether it's year-round or even during the winter seasons, because we do see an influx of cruise ships coming in from all over the world, really, during the winter seasons. It's going to be huge for the industry itself, just having something so big and so accessible for the industry, just in case. Because azipods are very fragile. I don't know if any of you are familiar with azipods, you know how fragile they can be. The Vista-class ships for Carnival have been so prone to azipod problems. I think it's the bearings. I'm not 100% sure exactly what it is, but if it's off the top of my head, I'd have to say it was the bearings that are part of the azipods. They go bad. Rough seas and just minor things can really damage those azipods. Being able to quickly repair an azipod like that would be huge. Or, any just minor incidents, things like that, just minor maintenance, really. Instead of canceling a month's worth of cruises to send a ship all the way out to Europe to get fixed, now they, of course, a canceled cruise is never fun, but now you're looking at one canceled cruise, most likely, of course, if it's minor, to fix it up, get it ready to go, and be back at port the next week. Referring back to the dry dock incident for Oasis back in 2019, she was in there for just a quick maintenance on her azipods before she went over to Europe for the summer, where she was going to spend the summer and then she got the huge refit that she got at the end of the summer over in Cadiz. But then that incident happened, and they pretty much had to refloat the ship miraculously and limp the ship basically all the way over to Spain. So I think the biggest thing with this upgrade and this revitalization, this revamp of this shipyard in the Bahamas is going to be the maintenance sector. Of course, we'll be able to do the large scale upgrades, probably, depending on what it is. But the fact that we will have the accessibility for something like that here so close to Florida, so close to the United States and everything, is going to be so much easier than sending a ship out to Europe. So anyways, that's all for today's video. Let me know what your thoughts are down below. This is pretty big for not only the Bahamas, but this is big for the industry. I know there is, I believe, Fincantieri, which is the builders of the Carnival Vista class and a lot of other previous Carnival ships. I believe Fincantieri has a shipyard that's being built for dry docking purposes over in Mexico somewhere. I'm not 100% sure where it is, but I know at one point, or there are still plans to build a dry dock over in Mexico somewhere here in the Caribbean, on the Caribbean side at least. That's going to really compete with the Bahamas, but I think this plan to really revamp this shipyard is going to play a huge factor, and I think it's going to be a lot of competition for Fincantieri when it comes to that dry docking capabilities here in the United States and Northern Hemisphere, in North America. But anyways, let me know what your thoughts are down below. Leave a comment, let me know. And with that, thank you so much for watching, and we will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.